Today I'm going to be changing the heater core on a 1988 Dodge Dakota. I've been losing quite a bit of coolant lately. Now my coolant reservoirs are basically dry, and it's all ending up draining on my passenger side floorboard, as you can see here. If you go up under the dash, you can see got coolant dripping down out of my air box over here. Got it leaking all right here. It's not fun driving to work with your windows fogged up and breathing engine coolant vapors. So on the 88 Dakota, the heater core tubes go in on the driver's side, and they go through the firewall next to the brake master cylinder, like back here. So they go through right there, and I've torn the dash out to try and find it because I can't find any diagrams of where the actual box is for the heater core. I'm assuming it's somewhere up in here, and I've torn the dash out already, so I'll be back when I can figure out exactly where it is. Alright, so I'm back. That be back represents 6.5 hours to get this airbox out, and now you can see all of my engine coolant draining all into the inside of my airbox. Here's my heater core. You can see it's nice and green copper corrosion. Leaked all out when I pulled it out. And here's my evaporator core. You can see it doesn't look very much better, but it's still sealed, so I'm going to try and clean it up and use it again because these things are quite expensive. I looked up on O'Reilly's and they're about $150. So here's the top of the air box because I didn't want to have to take all of the vacuum lines off of it. And that would be a nightmare to try and figure out where those went again. But in order to get the air box out, I can't really show it to you, but there's several points where it goes through the firewall. You can see right there. And there's these strange nuts that go on there that are really paper thin. I think there's 4 or 5 of them, and you'll have to unscrew those. And unfortunately, if you have air conditioning in it like mine does, you will also have to discharge the AC to get it out, because while the end of the line here will fit through, it is bolted to the expansion valve, which will not fit through the firewall right here. Here's where the heater core lines go through, and it wasn't too much of a pain to get these out. You just cut the lines if they're old and rotted like mine were, and just pull them off, and they'll come right off. And up under the dash here, you have several vacuum lines that go through. I just disconnected. This end goes to the brake master cylinder, and this goes to the heater control valve. But you can see where they come through the firewall right there, up here, so you can see the holes where they're mounted. But let's see if I can see with the camera. So it's right there. There's one up here. There's one right there. And the pain is right here is where the evaporator core drain is. There's a ring clip on the other side to hold the little duct that ducts the condensate away. And it might be turned upside down, so you might have a little trouble getting that off. I think there's another one right here goes through the firewall, and I think that's basically it. But you have to watch out for all these wires because they are wrapped around the box, and you have to kind of move them around to get it out of here. But here's more of the box. Fortunately, these aren't really screwed in. I think these had 1 or 2 screws in them, and they pop apart relatively easy. You might have to change your foam out, because my foam is pretty tired, and a lot of it is crumbly from being 30 years old, so I'm going to have to figure out how to deal with that. And my heater control valve has also seen better days. Can't really see inside of it too well, but it is completely rusted through on there, and it doesn't really work anymore, so I'm going to have to find one of those too. The bottom of the dash right there. So I'll be back once I have this thing all together, which might be a while because I'm waiting on parts. So it is now about 1:40 in the morning, and I've got my airbox back in. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to save the evaporator core, and I have one on order, but it's going to take 2 days to get here. So I figured I'd put the heater core in and at least have heat, because it is getting pretty cold here. And I do have to work tomorrow, so I do need a vehicle to drive. I've got a new heater control valve, because that was completely shot, and also a coupler. Both going to the firewall. So you're about right there. And there's one of those nuts that hold the airbox on. I think there's 4 of them back there. I have my air conditioner line somewhat protected. I'll probably have to get a new dryer because it is quite humid here. I don't think it'll survive. And pretty much everything's cleaned up. Nothing back here anymore except some moldy floor mats that I need to take care of.